Welcome to Lawyers Who Care, the video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. And on each episode, we will meet a new lawyer, and they will share stories of when they went beyond legal counsel for the benefit of their client. My name is Andrew Samalin. I'm the principal of Samalin Wealth, a nationally recognized wealth management firm for lawyers, their firms, and their clients. And let's applaud lawyers who care and learn from them. Today, my guest is Oren Dearson. He is a partner at DearsonLevi in Tysons Corner, Virginia. And Oren has over 2 decades of experience providing legal services to private companies, multinational corporations, and individuals. And welcome, Oren.
Hi, Andrew. It's good to be with you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So, Oren, tell us what brought you to the law.
Okay, I'm going to talk about immigration today, and I myself is an immigrant. I grew up in Israel, and growing up in Israel, my father had a home accounting office, and the accounting system is different there. And so we would have clients coming in and out almost on a daily basis, and I would meet people, hear their stories. I was, I think, 10 when I first heard from a client that he visited France and ate a frog soup, and I was thrilled and excited. And so it was always in me to get to know people, learn their stories. And I wanted to be like my dad. I wanted to have my own office one day, be independent, serve people up close and personal. And it stayed with me. I then, as is common in Israel, I was recruited to the military. I was in mandatory military service when I visited England for a family occasion and decided to meet a friend who was in school at the time. And he was in law school in the UK. He was studying the law, and I learned something that I didn't know at the time, and that was that the system in England is divided in terms of attorneys' roles. And in the UK, you can be either a barrister or a solicitor. So you can be that person who litigates clients on behalf of your clients and you go to court, or you can be a solicitor. You can have an office and you can meet with your clients, serve them, draft their contracts, hear their stories. And so the work is more transactional. And that's what I wanted to do.
You wanted to be a solicitor, not the barrister?
I wanted to be a solicitor, yes. It sort of reminded me that this is the way I visioned myself practicing if I'm going to have my own office one day. I didn't know as a kid what I was going to do. Right. But I was interested more and more in the law when I visited England. So I came back to Israel, and I learned that there is a school there. I left the military. The school was a British university operating there. They had a campus, Manchester University. They taught in English half the time. So we were taught, we were trained on English law, also EU law and Israeli law. And the interaction with the British professors was really interesting to me, getting an insight into foreign law. And I decided I always liked English. So I decided, okay, I'm going to graduate with an LLB in Israel. I'm going to be licensed. I'm going to do my residency. It's common in Israel. You can't be an attorney unless you become a resident and you train for at least 1 year with a mentor. And so I was going to graduate and pursue another degree, a master's degree, either in the UK or elsewhere. And I ended up choosing America and coming here. I was admitted to the University of Texas at Austin School of Law. I graduated in 2001. It's also where I met my wife, and she's originally from Virginia. So we moved here to be close with family, and we've been here ever since.
And you had mentioned you had an interesting client story you wanted to share.
Right. So first, I have really an interesting mix of practice. I originally, so my first client when I started was a global software company, and I was their outside general counsel. And so I was dealing mostly with drafting and negotiating contracts, software, SaaS. I was advising them on employment matters, HR aspects of compliance. And one day, the management said to me, listen, we have some key employees and we want to transfer them to the United States. Would you be willing to assist us? And I said, look, this is a new area of the law for me, but I'm willing to look into it. And I started studying it, and I learned something that appealed to me, and that is that in immigration cases, and here we're talking about specifically about employment-based immigration, we're talking about what's also called business immigration, meaning the transfer of skilled employees and talented workforce to the United States. And I learned that in these cases, you have to represent both the employer and the employee. So there is a joint representation case. So this interesting intersection borrows from what I'm already doing, right? I'm representing a client, a corporate entity. I am assisting them with the business operations, and now I'm getting to interact with some key management employees and cater to their personal needs, to their career aspirations. And many of those people, after arriving here, they wanted to stay in the United States. And fast forward to an interesting recent story. So at this point, a few years ago, I've been practicing for over 15 years. And this global software company at startup mode comes to me. Even though they're publicly traded, they're still really investing millions of dollars in R&D more than anything. They come and they say, we have this senior manager that we want to move to the United States, and he's going to be just managing this small office that we just established. And I said, okay, I took on the case. It had its own challenges, but I was able to obtain 3 years visa for this person instead of 1, which was already a success. And then last year, the company came to me and said, so Oren, we want this person to stay permanently, long-term in the United States, but we have a challenge. The office is still small. The personnel that he manages are all located in overseas, the overseas office, and we have very limited revenues. And this is going to continue to be the case for foreseeable future, 2-3 years. And so what can you do about it? I said, it's a tough case. We should try it. But I should warn you that from the perspective of the USCIS, that's the Domestic Immigration Agency of the United States, they're going to take issue with this. They're going to say, okay, we have a visa category that he's eligible for, but you have to prove that he's a manager. You have limited operations, no revenues. Right. How are you actually going to justify management position and give him a green card? And so I said to the client, you're going to need to give me access to some sensitive information, to long-term planning, and give me more exposure. And I want to be able to talk to anyone that I want to. And they said, we trust you. Lead us through this way. Take the lead. Talk to anyone you want, and we'll take a chance. And we filed the case, and the USCIS issued an RFE. An RFE stands for Request for Evidence. By the way it was drafted, as I anticipated, the USCIS was going to take issue. It was clear that it was going to lead to a denial. And I said to the client, we're going to have to take a different strategy here. And I was thinking about it. Okay, so small company, no subordinate employees here, management of what, limited revenues. It's better to go for functional manager. What is a functional manager? You can be a manager of an essential function of a company, marketing, sales, R&D, and work at a certain senior level of the company and obtain a visa, obtain a green card. However, in this case, I still had the same challenge of proving that the management and the department for which he was working will help me, but they didn't. So as I was getting more exposure, studying it further, I realized, what if the company itself, that virtual office registered someone in California, in itself is a function. In itself is critical to the company. And as I was looking at the financials, as I was looking at the 20F, which is the SEC annual report, I realized that the American market was growing for this company. And unless this company continued to exist and serve as a bridge for the United States, probably the company's aspirations will fail. And I looked at the resources and case law, and I couldn't find any support for this argument, but I went with it. And I filed a response, and to my surprise and relief, it was approved. The client was thrilled. It was one of the best emails they ever received to get an approval. And from my perspective, it was great because I felt that I took the time to study the company's business closer. And when you study things closer, you become more creative, you care, and you listen, and you can turn a difficult case into a success story. And that's what happens. And that goes back to listening to your client, and that goes back to my work as a general counsel, right? I do not take a client on any business visa case unless I'm allowed to study what they do, right, what's their business model, how do they work, and what's at stake for this specific individual and how important he is to the company.
So, Oren, before we wrap up, if you could leave our listeners with one takeaway, what would it be?
I would say be a good listener, talk to your clients. Knowing the law is not enough. Knowing the practice, the forms, understanding how agencies and their interpretations of regulations work, that's all good. But you need to listen, study what the business does, how they operate, and how you can create a narrative for your client that is simple and understandable to an adjudicator at the U.S. government that will identify, understand what they want, and be willing to take a person, give him a green card. And the way I look at it is I'm helping both a client, I'm helping a company, and I'm also helping my country because I'm making sure that talented people, skilled people, workforce come to the United States. And as you know, in high-tech companies, many of them are responsible for building the future of this this country.
Yes, excellent point. By the way, I'd like to thank my guest, Oren Dearson. He is a partner at DearsonLevi. Oren, can you provide our audience with contact information for those that want to reach out?
Yes, I believe I uploaded a slide there, but yeah, so DearsonLevi, we're PLLC. We're located at the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan at Tyson's Corner. You can reach me directly through my email, odearson@DearsonLevi.com, and contact me via my phone number, 571-334-7879.
Wonderful. This has been the Lawyers Who Care video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. And Oren is a perfect example of that, where it's just not at face value. There is a lot more to it. And Oren is just showing his clients that somewhat labyrinthian, potential that exists, and he's protecting folks from that and having that work through. If you're an attorney or no one that goes above and beyond, feel free to reach out to us, 914-666-6600. Love to have them as a guest. Oren, I'd like to thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate it.